Hello guys, welcome to another episode of MovieFile. This is day 26, I believe. Yeah, it's day 26 of Moviefile's 100 movies in 100 days. And welcome. If you haven't seen the show before, check back and look out for Film My Fortnight. I've just posted out on fanboysanonymous.com. So if you check it out on www.fanboysanonymous.com, it's all there for you. And today I'm reviewing the movie This Is the End. This Is the End is a horror comedy which is directed by Seth Rogen and stars himself and his best buddy Baruchel. It's also directed by Goldberg. And it's based on an initial concept by Seth Rogen and Goldberg about him and his best friend coming home and then riding out the apocalypse. It was based on the initial screenplay, Jay and Seth versus the Apocalypse. Now let's get to the story, as I'm going to be doing two Seth Rogen films. Firstly, this movie, and tomorrow I'll be reviewing The Green Hornet. So let's look at the plot. Jay Baruchel comes home to meet his best bud Seth Rogen. They talk about old times and how things are going. Jay mocks Seth's dieting and stuff, and they go home and basically smoke a ton of weed. They then have the idea of going to a party that's been hosted by James Franco. They arrive at the party and hilarity ensues because there's fun little moments like James Franco, for instance, sitting there commenting about how they're both inside him. Yes, he took the piss out of his role in Spring Breakers and other things, that he's a big homo, apparently. They have fun at the party where there's loads of sex, drugs and other stuff going on, where Michael Cera is basically trying to slap Rihanna's ass and going completely and utterly crazy, having girls suck him off in the bathroom. He is hilarious in this movie for the limited time that he's actually in this movie, as everybody is just going completely and utterly, Hollywood debauchery, everything that we've heard in rumour.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Jay then expresses his concerns that he's not comfortable with Seth's friends or comfortable with anybody in the Hollywood scene. We knew that from the movie The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I actually watched about 6 times. Not the fact that it was any good, it was just more the fact that it was just there. He also has a love-hate relationship with Jonah Hill, who tells him how much he loves him all the time and defends him and treats him like he wants to suck the dude off.
Like coming. Like coming.
Wow, this is a little too...
Craig Robinson's also part of the main guys in this movie until, they're all having fun, doing their thing. And then suddenly, as they go out to the store to go and get some extra little bits and pieces, including food and stuff, they end up suffering through what they consider an earthquake and decide to go back to James Franco's house. By doing so, they watch Michael Cera get basically taken out by a pole after trying to find his phone, thinking that someone's stolen it from him while he's on crack. He then dies, and then everybody else, including Kick-Ass's own Christopher Mintz-Plasse, ends up getting swallowed up deep in the hole as well. Everybody, including Franco, Hill, Jay, Seth, and Craig, run into Franco's house, board the place up, and just try to survive the night. They then do a series of videos talking about the fact that each guy can't handle the other. We then see Danny McBride and Emma Watson added to the mix, as Emma Watson's been fighting out the apocalypse, coming in trying to get out of the situation. The guys offer her a bed to sleep in and then try and discuss about raping her. It turns into a huge misunderstanding in which Watson thinks that they're all going to pile her, so she legs it out of the house, stealing everything they have, carrying a gun, and telling them that if anyone moves towards her, she'll kill them. They then tend to fight over these canisters of water that they're trying to get a hold of so they can live another day without drinking their own piss. McBride, being the arsehole that he is, wastes all their supplies and gets to the point where he just doesn't give a fuck. The others tell him to leave before having a change of heart over the situation, which McBride insists that he is going to leave and that they can all go and fuck themselves.
I don't give a fuck about the sensitivity of Orientals.
Craig and Jay go out to go and try and find some extra supplies from neighbours' houses, as he talks about the theory of the fact that people were going to heaven, that this is the apocalypse, and that they've been left to die because of the fact that they're just scum. That a lot of them are scum that looked after themselves rather than other people, hence the reason why they're in the middle of this in the first place. He talks about the rapture, heaven and hell, etc, etc, before two demons come busting through the house trying to eat them. They then leg it back to Franco's apartment, in which Franco and the others are fighting over a Snickers.
Disney, we are all gonna die!
Hill is then angry at Jay for his whole theory about the apocalypse and wants Jay killed. He prays to God in hopes that Jay gets killed because he's had enough of Jay after Jay punches him in the face. Hill was then raped by a male demon in his sleep. Now he's demonically possessed and supernaturally strong. He goes after everybody else trying to kill them, in which they just do everything they can to fend off this demonic Jonah Hill. They attempt to exorcise the demon from Hill's body and then by accident end up burning the house down and killing Hill in the process. They're all forced outdoors, regretful about their situation, in an attempt to try and find a way to absolve themselves. Craig is the first to go, as he basically tries to fight off a demon who's secluding the others, and then ends up getting put into heaven for his bravery in trying to save everyone. Franco attempts to do the same, as the others are going to get eaten by an angry Danny McBride, who's now the head of a bunch of humans have turned cannibal, and he wants to eat James Franco's dick. He also has Channing Tatum as his gimp, who he states that he slides his dick into all the fucking time. Tatum attempts to dry hump him, where he tells Tatum to actually back down. The fact that he's gay and cannibal prompts the group to run, as Franco says that they should fend for themselves, while he attempts to help them get them clear from the situation. Franco is then thrusted into heaven to the point until he points his fingers at McBride, telling him to go fuck himself. He's then dropped back on the floor, where he's cannibally eaten by McBride and the rest of the people. Jay and Seth then run, trying to get out of the situation. They run from the cannibals and then are faced with a huger demon with a huge knot. The demon attempts to eat both of the guys, as Jay tells Seth to save himself, as he will basically fight the demon himself. He then gets thrusted up into heaven as Seth gets pulled up with him, but the force won't take both of these guys, so Seth lets go in hopes that with his death he'll save his best buddy, who he regrets having stayed clear from at all. You know, he regrets ignoring him and becoming the douche that he has been. And the same can be said for Jay, who regrets everything he's done to Seth. They cry. He turns awkwardly gay, to the point where Seth was going to be eaten, but then gets thrusted up as well, as the demon's dick gets cut off and it's roaring in pain. Those are some CGI effects I can actually adhere to. Craig, now an angel, welcomes both guys to heaven and explains to them that the good deeds they have done has resulted in them getting thrusted up into heaven. And he also states to them that heaven is a paradise which they can get anything that they want. Jay then wishes that the Backstreet Boys will reunite, and everybody starts dancing to Backstreet's Back. The film ends with the group singing Everybody, Backstreet's Back, as everybody's doing the whole dance, and it looks awesome. The film has grossed 96.8 million, I believe, in States alone. I don't know what the gross is internationally, so I've got to check that out. And it's been given a very favourable score on Rotten Tomatoes, and also praised by everyone and anyone who's watched it. I, for one, love this movie and think it's extremely hilarious for what it is, and I compare it to a movie such as the Evil Dead series.
You have to kill me.
No, not the fucking one where a girl's getting her tongue cut off. I mean the previous Evil Dead series.
Groovy.
Yes, Bruce. Groovy. And now let's go to the score. As you know, from scores for every movie that I've ever watched, I give this movie out of a 1 to a 5. I give it a very, very solid 4. Fun, it's amazing, it's very tongue-in-cheek. These guys knock each other senseless with the amount of puns about each individual. James Franco and his apparent homosexuality, Jonah Hill's arrogance because he started Moneyball with Brad Pitt, Craig's completely and utterly annoyance because he's the only black guy in this situation, and also McBride being the arsehole that he is, because if you've seen Your Highness, you know he's a complete and utter asshole in that movie. It also focuses a nice little story on Jay and Seth's relationship, basically talking about these guys and how they've distanced from each other because of the fact that their careers have gone in two different paths. It's fun to watch, it's great to see, and it's one of those movies that you can easily watch again and again. The reason why I haven't given it a 5 though, I don't believe that it is without flaw. If you look at the fact that you've had all these puns and jokes surrounding the movie, but the initial story is rather weak, it still manages to attract attention and keep you focused on the movie because it is that hilarious. And the fact that they were actually trying to reenact Pineapple Express 2 in the movie, which probably would have went that way anyway, made me giggle all the more. It could have been done with a focus more on the cast that were involved in this house, their situation, how to get through it. I felt that a lot of the guys died needlessly, but in a sense I can understand the reason why they did it, because you could literally see these guys improving half of the shit that went on in this movie because they're just completely and utterly insane. But it's extremely fun. I recommend anybody to watch it if you want to watch it, because it's hilarious. I'll be definitely buying this for my DVD collection and my Blu-ray collection, because this is a movie that is a must-see. In terms of reason why I haven't done the acting, because there's no acting involved, it's just comedic timing and hilarity. These guys make you laugh, and that's their job to do. They can be as insane as possible, let themselves go as much as they want, and act like complete and utter assholes, because that's the way this movie is shaped. It's an apocalypse film, it's themed that way. The way I would actually see this movie, that it could have had a lot more in terms of zombies, in terms of beasts, in terms of monsters, but they kind of splashed out a bit more on the bigger effects with the bigger creatures, which again you can understand why. It would have been nice to have a cameo from like a couple of old timers, like you could have even had a Ghostbusters reunion in this, with each actor from the Ghostbusters movie getting destroyed or slaughtered, you know, raping our childhood basically. But it would have been fun. There's loads of possibilities that they could have gone for, but I understand the reason why the story stayed the way that it did. So the fact that they could explore the relationship of these two individuals and not much on the surrounding cast. They were just there to sort of put a block between Jay, between Seth, and a way to show that these guys were as fake and phony as Jay thought they were, but also put the fact that he was actually turning a bit fake and phony because he was distancing himself from his best friend. And that's it from me, guys. I'm pretty much done for today's episode, so catch me tomorrow for another movie file, as I will be reviewing the movie Green Hornet.